All right, time to get our Rosefire working on the client side, right? Uh, so instructions. Let's go back into Tyler's stuff. So this is the link from before, only going into directly into examples. So he has instructions here for our setup for the Android SDK. So let's follow it through here. It turns out that we'll do that. It's gonna essentially be a couple changes to the Gradle file. There's a ProGuard rules that we may or may not need if you depend on if you're using ProGuard or not. And then we're gonna modify the code that he gives us. You're gonna find that it's very similar to what we did for Google Auth. We're gonna tie it into ours, right? There's the answer, so to speak, on the next slide, right? Is there? And there is a working example if you get stuck at any point, right? But it's usually pretty straightforward. Okay. So back here, so this is in our build.gradle. Now you'll notice the Android tag here. This is a repositories is a child of that tag. So whoops, copy, and I'm going to go into my project, into my apps build.gradle. I made a mistake once and I tried to put it into the other one, which was silly because there was no Android tag here. So going in here, build types, and I'm going to paste in repositories because I don't have any, and you'll see that this is what's linking into Tyler's stuff. And then we can put a dependency on Rosefire that is that it pulled from there. And we can start that guy syncing if we want. It looks like if we scroll down to the bottom, he said something about ProGuard. So I'm going to copy this guy out of here. And I think it just goes into our ProGuard rules here. And we paste that in like so. Great. And that should be everything I need. All right, the next part, right? So he gives a couple examples. So he gives a usage with Firebase and then standalone. Clearly we're using it with Firebase, so we have on Rosefire login. So what I'm going to do is grab these couple lines here from the body of this, and I'm going to go back to my main activity on Rosefire login. Funny that they are named the same name. You might think that the same person created this app as created the service. Thanks again, Tyler. All right, so done. All right, so sign in intent. So we have a registry token. Right, so what is that token? Well, that is the token that we copied into our keys.xml. So let's do a get string on this guy. r.string.rosefire_key. All right, like so. And then we have a constant for this guy. So Rosefire login, we can make it just like we did. There we go. Like we did. Make sure you use a different constant, like 2. All right, this time around, so different than what we used for Google. All right, very good. And coming back down here, let's see, that's good. So now here's an activity result. So if the request code is Rosefire login, then we do a sign in with custom token. I really don't want to grab this whole thing, but let's see what's going on here. So this is part of on activity result. So I know that I'm going to get a sign-in result, and then I have to check to see whether it's successful or not. So I'm going to grab those first couple lines and go into my on-activity result and put in an else here. So otherwise, if it's Rosefire login, then we can go ahead and we can get that result there. Let's see. And then before on Google, we checked to see if it was a success and we did something. Otherwise, we showed the login error. And I still want to follow that same format here. Show login, and this is going to be Rosefire sign in failed. His method, I think, is slightly, yeah, so it is successful. So it's slightly different. And then what's going to go in here? Well, let's go back to Tyler's page. If it wasn't successful, so we actually already handled that case, then we're going to get an instance of auth. So this is the mauth that we already have. Sign in with custom token, and we need result.getToken. and then we're going to add the onComplete listener. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. The rest of this is the onComplete listener that we already have, so I'm not even going to bother with that because that's redundant. Oops. Go back to the code. Let's see. So and let's see, so this and then my onComplete listener. All right, so sign in. Let's see. Looks like I might have grabbed. Yeah, I just forgot the M off here. All right, very good. And this is really a short function. You know, if we're comparing it with what we did with Google, they used another helper function here. They got the sign-in account, and then they called the Firebase auth with Google. And honestly, other than the log, this was just an extra line of code anyway. So I'm not really so much worried about putting this guy here in a helper function, although we could if we wanted, you know, sort of a perfect parallel there. And we go ahead and run it. Okay. While that guy is running, we check our client instructions here, and yeah, we did all those things. We did the ProGuard, we're all good. And yeah, so we added the other case, and if it was successful, and it looks like so I actually did use a helper method here. Kind of go, you know, back and forth, doesn't really matter too much. Pass in the result, and then we just called sign in with custom token again, as opposed to sign in with email password or sign in with credential that we did with Google, right? It's very similar. All right, so you might have to log out first. Log in with Rosefire, and it should bring you up to this page. If you hit back at this point, you'll get the failure there. So if you want to test that, it's kind of neat. And otherwise, then you're going to want to add your credentials here. Sign in, and you should be in, right? And that's Rosefire. If you add ones within here, like I did, you go ahead and make yourself a new one. You can test it back inside your console and make sure that you have another user with a password in it, right? So in the username right here, so rather than being sort of these scrambled things, since Rose Holman users are guaranteed to be unique, right? Then we just use your Rose Holman username within there as well, and that actually makes things pretty simple when we're doing things in our code, right? So looks awesome. You now have 3 ways to do authentication. You are well equipped, all right, to write some great apps that depend on having information about each user. All right, come back in a minute to hear about the lab.